Every night it crawled into my blanket and licked me. It was always wanting to cuddle up with me. Then the next day, after I got to school, my sworn enemy, the campus beauty, would blush and ask me, "Can you stop holding me so tightly at night?" I was completely stunned when I heard that. On the last day of summer vacation, I found it by a trash can at the mouth of an alley. A white blur was huddled behind some cardboard boxes. It was trembling faintly. I thought it was a stray dog. Only when I got closer did I realize it was a fox. It was pure white all over, with only a hint of black fur on the tips of its ears. It was gorgeous beyond words. Only, there was a gash on its leg. It was a bloody mess. It looked up at me, its eyes wet and glistening, with an indescribable pitiful look. "Hey, are you okay?" I crouched down, a little hesitant. How would there even be a fox in the city? It let out a soft whimper, then rubbed its head against the toe of my shoe. "All right," I caved. "You're lucky." Running into me, I took off my jacket and carefully wrapped it up. "I'll take you home and bandage that up. Once you're better, you have to go." As soon as it heard that, it whined again and burrowed deeper into my arms. Damn, it was warm. I lived alone. My parents worked out of town and rented me a tiny place so I could get through senior year. It was freedom, sure, but it was a little lonely. I cleaned the fox's wound, put on medicine, and bandaged it. It was unbelievably well behaved. No fuss, no trouble. Only when I was wrapping the bandage did its body go a little stiff. "Hold still. It'll be done in a second." I patted its head. After I finished, I ordered takeout, poured it some milk, and sliced up a few pieces of sausage. It ate with real appetite. At night, I put it on the old blanket I had laid out in the living room. Then I went back to my room and slept. But, in the middle of the night, I felt something heavy on my chest. And warm, too. When I opened my eyes, well, damn, that white fluff ball had somehow sneaked in at some point. It was sprawled right on my chest, sleeping soundly. I tried to shove it off, but when my hand touched its soft, warm fur, I froze. Forget it. I might as well think of it as an extra hot water bottle. It was pretty comfortable, actually. When I woke up the next day, the fox was gone. It wasn't on the living room blanket either. My heart lurched. Had it run off? Just as I was thinking that, I heard keys at the door. My roommate, Joe, came in carrying breakfast. "Lou ran. I brought you a pancake wrap." Holy crap. Since when did you start keeping a fox? I turned around and saw the white fox crouched at my bedroom door, licking its paw with a completely innocent look. I picked it up last night. I let out a breath. It opened the door itself. It must have turned into a spirit or something. Joe leaned over to pet it, but the fox nimbly dodged him. In a flash, it hopped over to my side. It wrapped its tail around my ankle. It was really clingy, too. Joe clicked his tongue in wonder. I looked down at it. It looked up at me. Its eyes were bright and sparkling. "All right, looks like it's stuck with me." I gave the fox a name. I called it Rice Ball, because curled up, it looked just like a little sticky rice ball. Rice Ball was very well behaved. It didn't make a mess at home. It even used the toilet on its own. It even knew how to turn on the TV and watch Animal World. I was starting to think it really had turned into a spirit. But when I was doing homework, it would lie beside my feet. When I was in a bad mood, it would nudge my head with its own. At night, it always had to squeeze into my blankets. It slept pressed against my chest. Those lonely days didn't seem so hard to get through anymore. School started. Life in senior year was just mountains of test papers. The only thing that let me catch my breath was going home to pet Rice Ball for a bit. Its fur was getting fluffier and fluffier. It felt amazing to the touch. Only lately, it had been acting a little strange. It kept rubbing its nose against my neck. It made me itchy, and it made this thin little sound, like a child acting spoiled. "Rice Ball, are you in heat?" I pinched the tip of its ear. Its body went rigid. Then it suddenly bit my finger. It was a firm bite, more like it was grinding with its teeth. Its gaze was full of grievance. Our school had a campus beauty named Qingwan. She was stunning, but her personality was as cold as an iceberg. She looked at everyone like they owed her millions. There was bad blood between us. In our first year of high school, I accidentally slammed a basketball into her. Then I spilled milk tea all over her. After that, she never gave me a friendly look. And of all things, she was in the student council discipline office. She was always catching slackers like me. "Lou ran. Zip up your uniform." "Lou ran. Your hair's gotten long again. Go get it cut." "Lou ran. No eating in the hallway." Damn it. During morning exercises today, it was packed shoulder to shoulder. I don't know who shoved me, but I almost fell. I grabbed the person in front of me on instinct. When I steadied myself and looked up, my hand was on Qingwan's shoulder. Today her hair was tied in a high ponytail. Her long hair fell to her waist. I think I even ripped out a few strands of her hair. I was done for. I waited for her to coldly slap a major demerit on me, but she only spun around abruptly. Her cheeks flushed an unnatural red. Her gaze darted away. Her breathing was a little quick. Are you okay? I quickly let go. She shot me a glare. There was so much in that look. Anger, embarrassment, and something else. Something I couldn't put into words. Be careful. Her voice was a little hoarse. When she finished, she hurried off. Her retreating figure looked rushed. What the hell was that? Did the sun rise in the west today? During afternoon self-study, Qingwan was making her rounds as discipline head. When she reached my desk, she paused for a moment. I was bent over, working through practice problems. I suddenly felt a shadow fall over me. When I looked up, I met her gaze as she looked down at me. She quickly looked away. Her fingers curled and she said quietly, Lu Ran, your desk is a little crooked. Straighten it. She hurried off, but I thought I caught a very faint, very familiar scent. It was a little like the smell of rice ball. When I got home at night, rice ball was extra clingy. When I was doing homework, it jumped straight into my lap. It curled into a ball. Its head insisted on resting on my wrist. I couldn't write at all. Stop it. I picked it up and set it down. It climbed back up, relentless as ever. It even nipped gently at my cuff with its teeth. A low whine rumbled in its throat. What's wrong with you? I patted its head. Are you feeling unwell somewhere? It rubbed its damp nose against my palm. The tip of its tail tapped my calf again and again. It was oddly ticklish. On the weekend, I took Rice Ball back to the vet for a follow-up on its leg injury. After checking it, the vet said it was healing very well. Only, the vet pushed up his glasses. Has it seemed a little restless lately? How's its appetite? A little, yes. It hasn't been eating with the same enthusiasm as before. The vet looked thoughtful. From the breed, it looks like an Arctic fox. But at this time of year, that doesn't quite make sense. It might be getting close to heat. Male or female? Female, I said. I let out a breath. Thank goodness. But then my heart climbed right back up. What was I supposed to do about a female fox in heat? Where was I supposed to find it a mate? The vet smiled. If it's a domestic pet, you can have it spayed. Then the problem is solved for good. Spay? I looked down at Rice Ball sprawled on my lap. Its innocent, trusting little face. I couldn't quite bring myself to do it. When we got back from the vet, Rice Ball seemed a little unhappy. Even its favorite chicken jerky barely interested it. It just lay on the balcony mat, staring outside. Its little back looked strangely gloomy. I went over to soothe it. What's wrong? You don't want to be spayed. I'll buy you a ton of toys. Will that do? It turned its head away, not looking at me. I picked it up. It struggled a couple of times, then went still. It tucked its head into the hollow of my neck, rubbing lightly against me. What kind of little troublemaker are you, anyway? I stroked its soft fur. Why do you worry me so much? With a sudden cry. The first monthly exam of senior year went badly for me. I left the last 3 big physics questions completely blank. My mood sank to rock bottom. When I got home that night, I didn't even have the heart to play with Rice Ball. I ate a little something, then flopped onto bed. Rice Ball came over. It bumped my face with its nose. I didn't react at all. It lay quietly by my pillow. After a while, it started whimpering softly. It pawed at my arm. Rice Ball, I'm annoyed right now. I buried my head in the blanket. It wouldn't let up. In the end, it simply threw its whole fluffy body onto my chest. The weight was impossible to ignore. I pulled the blanket down. I met its glassy eyes so close to mine. It lowered its head. With its fine, soft fur, and its warm forehead, it pressed against my forehead. It felt like a wordless comfort. The monthly exam results were announced. Qingwan was once again first in the grade. During break, the homeroom teacher called me to the office for a talk. When I came back, I ran into her at the stairwell corner. She was carrying a stack of homework books. Looks like she was taking them to the teacher's office. There was no way around each other. I turned sideways to let her pass first, but she stopped. She looked at me, as if she wanted to say something, then held back. Need something? I asked, wondering if she'd caught me at something again. Lu Ran, she said, her voice soft. Your physics. The last few big questions. Did you not have time to finish them? I froze for a second. I didn't expect her to ask that. I told the truth. I have a notebook. Do you want it? No need. I cut her off. Thanks for the offer. If the top student in the grade tutored me, what would happen to my dignity? She pressed her lips together. She didn't say anything else. She carried the homework books downstairs. I watched her back. Something in me felt irritated. A new student transferred into our class. His name was Qingwan. His family was loaded. And from the moment he arrived, he acted like he owned the place. And on top of that, he seemed interested in Su Qingwan. He kept trying to win her favor. Su Qingwan barely gave him the time of day. So he turned his spear at me. Because Su Qingwan seemed to be the only one who ever spoke to me first, though most of the time, it was just to lecture me. Lu ran. I heard your parents aren't around. Living on your own. Must be pretty comfortable, huh? Qingwan came with a few lackeys and threw sarcastic digs at me. None of your damn business. I couldn't be bothered with him. Got quite the temper, huh? Qingwan leaned in, lowering his voice. Stay away from Su Qingwan. You hear me? I laughed. Who do you think you are? His expression changed, and he looked ready to make a move. What are you doing? A cool voice rang out. Su Qingwan had come over without me noticing. She was frowning at us. Qingwan immediately put on a smile. Qingwan, it's nothing. I was just chatting with Lu Ran. Su Qingwan didn't even look at him. Her eyes settled on me. Lu Ran, the homeroom teacher is looking for you. I knew she was helping me out. I didn't call her on it. I turned and left. After a few steps, I could still hear Qingwan trying to flatter her. Qingwan, are you free tonight? I heard a new Western restaurant just opened. When I got home that night, Rice Ball was unusually excited. It kept circling me. Wherever I went, it followed. When I sat down, it jumped into my lap. It shoved my hand hard with its head, asking me to pet it. Why are you being so clingy today? I scratched under its chin. It tipped its head back in comfort, letting out a purring sound. After petting it for a while, it started licking my hand again. Its tongue was a little rough, wet and warm. As it kept licking, it suddenly gave my fingertip a light nip. It didn't hurt, just felt a little tingly. It looked at me with those watery eyes, its gaze hazy and unfocused. Its body had started to grow slightly warm too. My heart lurched. I remembered what the vet had said. Heat, these symptoms, seemed to fit. I felt a little at a loss. This. How was I supposed to help it? The internet said I could buy some toys, or use a warm towel on its belly. Just as I was thinking about it, Rice Ball suddenly jumped off my lap and ran into my bedroom. I followed it in. I saw it leap onto the bed, rubbing back and forth by my pillow, even dragging my sleep shirt over and pressing it under its body. It let out a satisfied, soft little cry. I stood at the doorway, my cheeks feeling a little hot. Was this Fox? Maybe. I bought Rice Ball a special plush toy. Supposedly it helps comfort animals in heat. It seemed to really like it, hugging it, biting it, and rubbing against it. It calmed down a little, but I noticed it had recently become obsessed with my clothes, especially the t-shirts I wore closest to my skin. It was especially fixated on them. Whenever I wasn't home, it would curl up and sleep in my laundry basket, which meant every time I finished showering, I had to hurry and hide my changed clothes. Otherwise, it would definitely drag them off. One Saturday afternoon, I was at home playing games. Rice Ball was sprawled by my feet, playing with that plush toy. As it played, it started acting strange again. The way it hugged the toy and played with it became a little hard to describe. From its throat came broken, almost sobbing sounds. My hand shook. My character died. The moment the screen faded gray, I caught Rice Ball trembling slightly. Its tail was tucked tight. It looked both adorable and a little alluring. I quickly looked away. My heart was beating a little fast. What was I even thinking? It was just a fox. Joe Lay got a girlfriend. He brought her back for a weekend meal. Xing, Joe Lay's girlfriend, saw Rice Ball and absolutely adored it. She insisted on holding it. Usually, Rice Ball would let no one touch it except me. It would not let anyone else near it. But this time, it was unexpectedly gentle. It just let Xing hold it. It's so well behaved. What is it called? Rice Ball. I said. Rice Ball. That is such a cute name. The girl stroked Rice Ball's fur. Rice Ball narrowed its eyes, looking very pleased. During dinner, Rice Ball crouched on the chair beside us, looking at us, then at the dishes on the table. The girl picked up a piece of chicken and tried to feed it. I hurried to stop her. No, it does not eat that. Before I even finished speaking, Rice Ball had already leaned in. It sniffed carefully with its nose, then opened its mouth and took it. Usually, when I fed it fruit, it would turn its nose up at it, but now it was actually eating meat from someone else. As it ate, it seemed to glance at me. That look, why did it feel a little defiant? After dinner, the girl and Joe watched a movie in the living room. I went to the balcony to bring in the laundry. Rice Ball followed me out. I crouched down, pinched its little face. Well done, you. Forget loyalty the second a pretty face shows up. It whined once, then nudged me with its head, and started acting cute again. I really could not do anything about it. After the monthly exam came the parent-teacher meeting. My parents could not make it. As usual, my uncle came in their place. After the meeting ended, my uncle patted my shoulder. Xiao Ran, just do your best. Do not put too much pressure on yourself. I nodded. After seeing my uncle off, I ran into Su Qingwan and her mother at the school gate. Her mother was elegantly dressed. She looked to be in great spirits. She was smiling as she talked with the homeroom teacher. Su Qingwan stood quietly off to the side. When she saw me, her eyes flickered. Then she quickly looked away. Suddenly, I felt that between us, the gap might be more than just grades. My mood sank for no clear reason. When I got home that night, I had no appetite either. I just made a bowl of instant noodles. Rice Ball came over. It sniffed the noodles and walked away in disgust. It went to its food bowl and ate some cat food. It seemed to think of itself as a cat. Then it picked up that plush toy in its mouth and jumped onto the sofa beside me. It started playing on its own. Every now and then it made a little sound. Normally, I would have found it annoying. But today, listening to that little bit of noise and looking at the warm little thing beside me, the emptiness in my heart seemed to be filled a little. I reached out and pulled it, toy and all, into my arms. It froze for a second, then obediently lay on my lap and stayed still. I stroked its fur and said quietly, "Good thing I have you." That bastard Qingwan still would not give up. Somehow he found out where I lived. He even showed up under my apartment building that weekend. I was just going downstairs to take out the trash, in flip-flops and big shorts, looking utterly ridiculous. Lu ran. "You live in this dump." Qingwan was leaning against a flashy sports car, with a cigarette in his mouth. I ignored him and headed straight for the trash bin. "I'm talking to you." He walked over and blocked me. "Be smart. Stay away from Su Qingwan, or you'll be sorry." I looked at him. "Are you out of your mind?" "Shit." He raised his hand and tried to shove me. Just then, a white blur shot out of the stairwell and started barking wildly at Qingwan. It was Rice Ball. I did not know when it had followed me out. Right then, it was baring its teeth, with all its fur standing on end. It stood in front of me and growled at Qingwan. It looked fierce as hell. Qingwan jumped in shock and stumbled back. "What the hell? What is that thing?" "Mine." I pulled Rice Ball back a little. "Get lost, or I'll let the fox bite you." Qingwan looked at Rice Ball, then at me, and left while cursing. Crazy, raising something like that. I looked down at Rice Ball. It was still hissing toward the direction Qingwan had left. Its tail was held high. "Not bad, Rice Ball. You can even protect your owner now." I crouched down and rubbed its head. Only then did it calm down. It turned around and licked my face with its tongue. A soft whimper came from its throat, like it was comforting me. My heart warmed. Days passed one by one. The college entrance exam was getting closer and closer. Rice Ball and I depended on each other. Every night it burrowed into my blanket and slept pressed against me. I had also gotten used to the heavy, warm feeling on my chest. It was comforting. Sometimes when I had a nightmare or was too stressed to sleep, just stroking its soft fur and listening to its steady breathing was enough to slowly calm me down. It became my personal sedative. That night, I woke in the middle of the night. Something fell off. What I was holding in my arms was no longer a fluffy little bundle. It was a warm, soft body. It felt smooth to the touch, still carrying body heat, with long hair spread across my arm. I jolted awake. Moonlight leaked through the gap in the curtains, lighting up the bed. In my arms, there was a person, a girl. Her skin was so pale it was blinding. Her long hair spilled like a waterfall. Her ears were pointed, and they looked a little strange. She was curled up, her face buried against my chest, fast asleep. That side profile made my heart stop. Su Qingwan. How could it be Su Qingwan? Where was Rice Ball? My mind was a tangled mess. I instinctively tried to push her away, but my hand touched her smooth shoulder and back, and I yanked it back like I'd been shocked. Just then, she seemed to stir at my movement, mumbling softly in her sleep. She rubbed against me again in my arms, and one leg even draped lazily over my waist. My whole body stiffened. It felt like all my blood rushed somewhere else. I was doomed. She let out a lazy hum. Her long lashes trembled. Then she slowly opened her eyes. Our eyes met. The air froze. The confusion in her eyes quickly faded, replaced by panic and disbelief. With a short scream, she sprang out of my arms. She grabbed the blanket and wrapped it around herself, then shrank back into the corner of the bed. Her face was bright red, pointing at me. She stammered, "Lu Ran, how did you get here? What did you do to me?" I was even more confused than she was, okay? This is my home. My bed. I grabbed the pillow and held it in front of me, equally shocked and angry. Su Qingwan, how did you end up in my bed? Where is Rice Ball? At the word, Rice Ball, the two words, her body visibly stiffened. Her eyes flickered. Her hand gripping the blanket tightened. An absurd thought flashed through my mind like lightning. I stared at her hard, especially her pointed ears, which stood out starkly in the moonlight. Slightly trembling, pointed ears with black fur. My voice came out rough and dry. "Are you Rice Ball?" She bit her lower lip hard, turned her head away, and did not dare look at me. But those ears, now red as fire, said everything. The clingy little fox I picked up, always acting spoiled, the furball that burrowed into my blanket and slept pressed against me every night, was actually the icy girl from school, the campus beauty Su Qingwan, who bossed me around. This world was insane. Or maybe I was. The room fell into a deathly silence. Only our breathing remained. I watched her shrink into the corner of the bed, wrapped in my blanket, her smooth shoulders and delicate collarbones exposed. Her long hair was a mess. Her cheeks flushed red. Her eyes were full of embarrassment and panic, and a trace of despair after I had exposed her. All those details that had seemed strange before, now suddenly connected. The faint scent on Rice Ball was the same as the scent on Su Qingwan. The look in Rice Ball's eyes when she acted spoiled matched the look Su Qingwan sometimes gave me when she glanced away. Rice Ball's restlessness during heat matched Su Qingwan's recent unnatural expression when facing me. And the vet had said Rice Ball was female. My throat tightened. I felt blood surging up to my head. "So," I forced out, my voice hoarse. "During this time, it was always you?" She snapped her head back. Her eyes turned red. She shouted through tears, "So, what if it was? Do you think I wanted this? Why didn't you say so earlier? If I told you earlier, told you I was a fox, would you have treated me like a monster?" Tears fell from her eyes. "Or be driven out by you and die during heat?" Heat? I suddenly remembered the doctor's words. I thought of Rice Ball and of Su Qingwan's recent abnormal behavior. So, she came close to me, clung to me, even those ambiguous rubs and licks, all because of heat, a fire of being deceived and made a fool of, mixed with indescribable embarrassment and absurdity, washed over me in an instant. "Are you messing with me, Su Qingwan?" I yanked the pillow aside and stepped toward her, watching me act like a fool over you, hugging and kissing that fox. Was that fun? She shrank back in fear. Her tears came even harder. I really couldn't. I couldn't control it. Our fox spirit heat can only be eased by getting close to a fated one. Otherwise, I'll die. Fated one. I was completely stunned. Fated one? What the hell is that? My head was buzzing. It felt like it had been stuffed with a tangled mess. Su Qingwan, make yourself clear. This is too ridiculous. More ridiculous than me getting a perfect score on physics. Su Qingwan clutched the blanket tight. Tears dripped down her face. Her voice was thick with a post-cry snuffle. "Among our fox spirit kind, when we come of age, we face one life and death tribulation. That is heat. If we cannot endure it, our demonic power collapses and we die. Only by finding a fated one and staying by his side can it be eased." She lifted tearful eyes to me once, then quickly lowered them again. "I never thought it would be you. So you knew all along? You approached me just for this." It felt like a stone was blocking my chest, heavy and stifling. "At first, yes," she admitted softly. Then she hurriedly looked up to defend herself. "But later, it wasn't. You were good to me. You took care of me. You let me cling to you at night. I couldn't control myself, okay? Her voice got softer the more she said. Her face grew redder and redder. Even her neck turned pink. I looked at the girl in front of me, her whole image completely shattered, and her usual cool, aloof vibe was gone. She was just a flustered, pitiful little girl. It was the little fox. The fire in me somehow faded by half. In its place came an emotion far too complicated to name. There was anger at being tricked, shock at learning the truth, and also a trace of something I could not quite put into words. A strange feeling of being relied on by her. So, what are you planning to do now? I ran a hand through my hair, trying to keep my voice as calm as possible. The priority is to solve the problem. Qingwan curled up and said in a small voice, the heat has not fully passed yet. I still need to stay by your side. Like before. I raised a brow. Her face turned even redder. She looked ready to bury herself in the blanket. The room fell into an awkward silence again. I looked at her huddled up little form and thought of how the fox used to cling to me. My heart softened a little, but then I thought about how every night I would be holding not the fox, but a real, living Qingwan. My throat bobbed. I could feel my body temperature rising. You first. Transform back. I turned my head away, not daring to look at her again. Otherwise I can't talk. There was a faint rustling sound, and something like bones cracking softly. I cautiously glanced over from the corner of my eye. The girl on the bed was gone. In her place was the familiar white fox, wrapped up so tightly in my blanket that not even a seam showed. Only a pair of damp, timid, ashamed eyes were visible as it looked at me. The sight hit even harder now. Looking at that furry little thing, I automatically pictured her naked after transforming into a human. Damn it. I took a deep breath, forcing those messy images out of my head. Listen, Qingwan. I tried to keep my tone serious as I spoke to the lump under the blanket. This is too sudden. I need some time to process it. The lump under the blanket moved. That counted as an answer. Second, until I figure out what to do. You stay in fox form, but do not sleep on my bed again. Got that? The blanket was shoved aside all at once. Qingwan poked her head out, anxiously, and let out a pitiful whine. Her eyes were full of reluctance and pleading. That look was exactly the same as when it used to beg for jerky. I hardened my heart. No negotiation. The couch in the living room. Or I can make you a nest. Her ears flattened. She buried her head between her front paws, looking like the whole world had abandoned her. The final compromise was that she could sleep on the rug beside my bed, but I had to give her a blanket that smelled like me. Fine. That was still better than sleeping together. I barely slept at all. All I could think about was there was still the sensation of Qingwan under my covers, her face red as a tomato, and what she had said about the fated one. What the hell was all that? By the time dawn was near, I had only just drifted off. It felt like I had barely slept. When I heard movement in the living room, I jolted awake, remembering what happened last night. I was instantly wide awake. I got dressed and walked out of my room. I saw that Qingwan had already transformed back into human form. She was wearing one of my slightly oversized t-shirts. Where she dug it up, I had no idea. She was facing away from me, frying eggs in the kitchen. Sunlight streamed through the window and fell across her, tracing her slim waist and straight long legs. The hem of my t-shirt fell just to the top of her thighs. When she heard me, she turned around. Her face still carried the flush of just waking up. Her eyes were a little evasive. She said softly, Lu Ran, are you awake? I made breakfast. This scene was way too shocking. The cool campus beauty was wearing my clothes, making me breakfast in my kitchen. Who would believe that if I told them? At the dining table, the atmosphere was so awkward you could build a house on it. We both kept our heads down and ate. Neither of us looked up at the other. I eventually spoke first. What about school? Her chopsticks paused for a beat. I can go. Things are much better during the day. As long as I am not too far from you, I will be fine. So, when you used to crack down on me before, that was because. No. She immediately looked up and denied it. Her face went red again. That was my job. I watched how eager she was to deny it, and it almost made me laugh. So, those things she did before, aimed at me, might have had a bit of attention-seeking in them. As for Qinhao, when I thought of that troublemaker, she frowned. Her tone cooled. I will make things clear with him. I will tell him not to bother me. And not to give you trouble either. At that moment, she had started to look a bit like her usual cool campus beauty again. But when I looked at her, I felt she was kind of cute. We left for school together. To avoid unnecessary trouble, we went out of the building one after the other. She walked in front, and I strolled along behind her. The sunlight was bright. It shone on her ponytail, making it glint. I looked at her slender back, and my feelings were a mess. What kind of mess was this? When we got to the school gate, we ran into the persistent Qingwan just as expected. He was holding a huge bouquet of roses, blocking the entrance. When he saw Su Qingwan, he immediately came up with a smile. Morning. These are for you. Su Qingwan did not even look at him, and walked around him. Qingwan's smile froze. Then he saw me behind her, and his eyes darkened instantly. He caught up in a few steps, and stopped Su Qingwan. His tone was accusatory. Qingwan, what do you mean by this? Why are you ignoring me? Su Qingwan stopped in her tracks. She looked at him coldly. Classmate Qingwan, I'm not that familiar with you. Please stop doing these childish things. And don't bother me or my friend. When she said, friend, she instinctively glanced back at me. Qingwan followed her gaze and looked at me. His fury flared. Lu Ran, is this your doing? I shoved my hands in my pockets and sauntered over lazily. I stood beside Su Qingwan and gave Qingwan a smile. Wasn't she clear enough? She told you to get lost. Qingwan's face turned livid. He pointed at us. You too. Just you wait. With that threat, he stormed off in a rage. Su Qingwan let out a breath of relief. She said quietly to me, thank you. You're welcome. Watching Qingwan's back, I had a nagging feeling. This wasn't going to end so easily. All day long, the school stayed calm and peaceful. Su Qingwan was still that cold-faced top student, and I was still the class loser at the bottom of the pile. During class break, she would just happen to pass by my desk, drop off a notebook, or casually say, the key point the teacher just mentioned for this problem is. The whole class was stunned. Holy shit. Lu Ran, did you put a spell on the campus beauty? Why is she suddenly being so nice to you? Spill it. You two aren't. I laughed it off and brushed them aside. But I felt a strange little flicker inside. It was almost like being cared for by her. Felt pretty nice. When I got home that night, Su Qingwan had turned back into her fox form. She padded along at my feet while I did my homework. She lay obediently on the carpet, but her eyes kept staring up at me, eager and expectant. That look said she wanted to cuddle. I steeled my heart and ignored her. So she used her paws to tug at my pant leg, letting out tiny whimpers. Su Qingwan, that's enough. I sighed and put my pen down. I told you, no getting on the bed. She whined, then rested her head on my slipper and stopped moving. She looked like a little abandoned stray. I let out a sigh. In the end, I caved. I picked her up and put her on my lap. Just for a little while, I warned her. She immediately curled up contentedly on my lap, her tail brushing gently against my leg, and she let out a comfortable purr. I stroked her soft fur, and that little knot of awkwardness inside me seemed to slowly smooth out. Forget it. Why argue with a fox? Though this fox was the campus beauty in disguise. On Friday after school, I was cornered by Qingwan and a few others at the school gate. Lu Ran, nice one. You really got Su Qingwan. Qingwan had a cigarette in his mouth. He looked like a total thug. What does that have to do with you? I looked at them calmly. There were about 4 or 5 of them. None of them looked friendly. None of your business. Qingwan tossed away the cigarette butt and ground it out under his shoe. The woman I want, and you dare touch her. If I don't teach you a lesson today, I'll write Qingwan backward. He waved a hand. The others closed in around me. I clenched my fist, ready to fight. I didn't have much of a chance, but I couldn't back down. Just then, a white blur shot in like lightning. It slammed straight into one of the guys trying to sneak up on me. It was Su Qingwan. In fox form, she bared her teeth. A low growl rumbled in her throat. She stepped in front of me, her eyes fixed fiercely on Qingwan and the others. Damn! This damn fox is back again. Qingwan jumped back in fright, but then he flushed with anger. Get him. Take the beast down too. It was about to turn into a fight, when suddenly, a soft white light spread over Su Qingwan. Under Qingwan and his crew's shock stares, the light faded. and Su Qingwan in her school uniform appeared in front of me. Her face was cold. Her gaze was sharp. "If you want to lay a hand on him, you'll have to get through me first." Her voice was not loud, but it carried an undeniable force. Qin Hao and his crew were dumbstruck. "A demon. It's a monster," someone yelled, and the few of them scrambled away in panic. Soon it was just Su Qingwan and me left in the alley. She let out a breath of relief. Her body swayed. Her face had gone a little pale. "Are you okay?" I hurried to support her. Forcing a transformation in front of other people took a huge toll on her. She leaned against me, shook her head, and whispered, "I'm fine. Let's hurry home." Later, I heard Qin Hao and his little gang went tumbling out of the alley that day and completely lost their minds. They told everyone they met that Su Qingwan was a fox spirit in disguise, that she could appear out of thin air, and that her eyes glow green. At first, people took it as a joke. They thought the boys were just making excuses after losing a fight, but they described it in such detail, with so many specifics, and such terrified expressions, that after a while, everyone started looking at them differently, especially Qin Hao. That swagger of his was gone. He became jumpy and paranoid. He would shake at the sight of any girl in white. He even started screaming when he saw a fluffy scarf. His family had no choice. They figured he'd been badly traumatized, so they arranged for him to take a leave of absence from school and send him for counseling. His followers were much the same. Each one was rambling and half mad. They completely vanished from our lives. On the eve of the college entrance exam, the pressure was enormous. I scratched my head over the practice papers. Su Qingwan, in human form, sat quietly on the sofa beside me. Every so often, she would lift her head and glance at me. "Lu Ran," she suddenly said. Her voice was very soft. "Don't be nervous." I looked up at her. The lamplight traced the line of her profile. It was impossibly soft. "Who's nervous?" I said stubbornly. She didn't argue. She put down the book, walked over, and stood beside me. She reached out, a little hesitantly, and gently placed her hand on top of my head, and rubbed it, just like I usually rubbed Rice Ball's head. "You'll definitely be fine," she said. Her ear tips were a little red. As soon as she finished, she quickly withdrew her hand. Then she turned and walked back to the sofa. She picked up the book again, pretending to read it seriously. I stood there stunned. It felt like the soft warmth of her palm still lingered on my head. That bit of restlessness inside me was strangely soothed away. Who could resist that? During the college entrance exam days, the weather was great. After finishing the last subject and walking out of the exam hall, the sunlight was blinding. The place was packed with noise. I let out a long breath. When I looked up, I saw Su Qingwan waiting under the big tree by the exam gate. She was wearing a simple white dress. Sunlight filtered through the leaves and scattered dappled light across her. She saw me and smiled, waving at me. I walked over and naturally took her hand. Her hand trembled slightly, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she lightly squeezed mine back. "How did it go?" she asked, her eyes bright. "I think I can get into a first-year university in the same city as you." I looked at her. The corners of my mouth rose before I could stop them. "Who wants to go to the same school as you?" She snorted and turned her face away, but the upturned corners of her mouth gave her away. I leaned close to her ear and lowered my voice. "Your heat should have passed long ago, right? Want me to help you with it?" Her face went red instantly. Even her neck turned pink. She pinched my palm hard. Lu ran, but her hand was still holding mine tightly. Later, we went to college in the same city. We didn't live on campus. We rented a small place outside. Su Qingwan finally didn't have to sneak around anymore. She could openly put her things next to mine. When she was in a good mood, she'd show her fox ears and tail and wander around the house. She called it relaxing in fox form. When I was coding or gaming, she often turned into her fox form, jumped onto my lap, found a comfortable position, and slept like the dead. A fluffy little bundle, warm and soft. My very own breathing hand warmer and stress relief machine. On weekend mornings, I was often woken by her tail or hair brushing against me. What I saw was either an oversized fox face or the sly amusement in her eyes. Lu ran. "I'm hungry. What do you want to eat?" "Chicken." Su Qingwan. "It's early in the morning. Don't lean in like that." "What are you? A dog? You even bite people." "I'm not a dog. I'm a fox." Sunlight filled the room. Noise and laughter mingled together. From that day on, my little fox and I lived a shamelessly happy life. The end.